Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole Frolic of Inflexible Me. And today I'm going to talk about a bit of a hot topic. It's something I'm really passionate about talking about, which has to do with a bit of the masculine and feminine energies, but more so today with the feminine. And just speaking on that, if you guys are interested, this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm holding my free webinar on the masculine energies where we're going to take a really deep dive into understanding what each one is and what happens when you bring both into balance. And it's very empowering, and it's allowed me to completely shift the way I look at myself and therefore the way I show up in this world. And it just brings in so much more love, so much more compassion, so much more strength, and so much more action to take in this world so that you really start to live the life that you truly desire in your heart. So if you're interested for that, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. But today I want to talk about something that is disempowering us as a society and as individuals. And it's the statement made, "I am offended." And I want to talk about why you never want to utter those words ever again if you are doing that right now or you have in the past. And I'm guilty of it. I've done it myself. But one of the things that I've realized is how disempowering saying that actually is and what it means to the person you're saying it to. So I just want to talk about the energies of it. When we talk about the feminine energies, when they're in balance, they're in nurturing, they're in compassion. You are still, you are very in touch with your feelings. You are intuitive. These are all very strong feminine energies that are in balance. When we tend to go out of balance, which is called the wounded feminine, we tend to get over emotional, we tend to get oversensitive, we become the victim. The victim is the main archetype of the wounded feminine. Now, when I talk about wounded feminine, I'm not just talking about females, I'm talking about men and women. And we're seeing this come up a lot because in our society, because many people are starting to get offended by every little thing that someone says. And I want to talk about why we need to start doing some healing within the wounded feminine so that we don't fall into this over emotional, oversensitive, and victim mode that is happening when someone says something that triggers you to feel offended. Now, when you say, "I am offended," to someone who said something that they've offended you by, what you're telling them is that you have said something that I don't like, it's triggered my emotions, which means I've given you full power over my emotions and I have no control over them. I've given the control over to you, which means you are now in the driver's seat of all of my emotions, and I can't heal myself until you make me feel better. This is a very disempowering place to be as an individual. It doesn't matter if you're female or you're male, because this is happening in both genders. Now, one of the reasons why we feel the need to say this is because we don't want to feel hurt. But if you know that you are fully in alignment with who you truly are, you know yourself deeply, you really know who you authentically are, it doesn't matter what someone says to you because you know what your truth is. So a lot of times, especially in this world and on the online community, especially because it's so easy to say things and then hide behind your computer, people will say things to trigger you. They'll say things to get a rise out of you. I'm experiencing this the odd time on my channel, and I just choose not to engage in it because I know what my truth is. And a lot of the times when people say things that trigger us, it's their opinion or they're really trying to get a rise out of you. Now, if you want to give them that and you want your emotions to go on a roller coaster, which completely takes you into wounded feminine energy, then that's your choice. That's your prerogative. You're more than welcome to go on that ride, but it's certainly not fun and it's quite painful. And what actually happens is you end up going into anger, you go into resentment, you go into shame mode, not necessarily shaming yourself, but you tend to want to shame the other person for offending you. How dare you offend me? How dare you say such things? This is shaming. And shaming is the lowest level of consciousness on the consciousness scale. Which means you are now contributing to that energy field of low frequency. So not only have you allowed that frequency in, but you are now contributing to building it and adding more to it. So another reason why we want to stay away from I am offended. Please remember that if someone says to you that you've offended them, the best thing that you can say back to them is, are you sure you want to give me control over your emotions right now? Because that's what you've just done. You've given me control over every emotion that you're feeling right now, and it's up to me to make you feel better. That is a very disempowering place for that person to be in. And we should be encouraging one another to not allow one another to take over our emotions. So it's really important to understand this concept of moving into wounded feminine, into the victim mode, and allowing your over emotional being to now be in total control of someone outside of you. And it likely is probably someone that you could care less about. Sometimes it's someone you love, someone you care deeply for. But, you know, what if it's just someone you don't even care about? To give that amount of control over your being, over your energy, is really a scary place to go. So just take this information and pay attention to when you see it on the news, because we see a lot of our news anchors talking about being offended by someone saying something else. We see it in protests. We see it in our own communities. We see it amongst our friends. We see it amongst our family members. We see it all over. And when you hear it, pay attention to how disempowering that is, whether you're the one saying it or someone saying it to you, and bring it up, discuss it. Now, a lot of times people don't want to hear this because they don't want to know that they've allowed themselves to be the victim. No one really truly wants to say they victimize themselves. But when you say, I am offended, that is exactly what you've done. And so it's really important for us to become aware of our energies and what it means for the feminine energies to go into wounded mode, and also the masculine energies to go into wounded mode. But for today's video, I'm just speaking about wounded feminine right now. And please, to all my men out there, know that you are also able to go into this wounded feminine as well. The feminine and the masculine exist in us all. It exists in all of creation. It's inherent in us. It is all creation has the masculine and feminine energies. But when we are created, they're all created within balance, and it's our ego and our programming through, you know, how we're brought up through our family, through our institutions, through religion, through society, that start to shape the way we move into wounded masculine or feminine, and start breaking down how that natural spirit of energy, the wild spirit. So I hope this is helpful for all of you guys, and I'd be interested to hear from you on what your thoughts are. If you are engaging in this kind of dialogue, if someone's called you to tell you that you've offended them, or perhaps you've said this to someone and now you're kind of thinking about like what that actually means. What does that statement actually mean? We have to become a lot more responsible with not just our words, but our feelings and our control. Remember, the only thing we truly have control over in this world is ourselves. And when you have dominion over your entire being, you have become a sovereign individual. And when you are a sovereign individual, no one can take over your kingdom. No one can enter if you don't allow them to. And so this is so important for us to really take back our power, to really honor ourselves within, and let anyone say what they want to say. It's their right to say anything that they feel like expressing, but you don't have to take it on, and you don't have to believe it, and you know what your truth is, and therefore you don't ever have to feel victim to the statement, I am offended, ever again. And so that's about it for today. Again, curious to hear from you all in the comments below. If you'd like to email me, you can at info@inflexibleme.com. If you need any more information about me, please head on over to my website, inflexibleme.com. There's a newsletter there if you wish to sign up for anytime my blogs come out, events, things like that. Also, you're automatically entered into my crystal card giveaway each month when you're on that newsletter list. And if you're interested, I have a podcast called Enlighten Up, and I actually have an amazing guest coming on this Thursday. and he's super funny, and he resembles the average dude who's becoming very spiritual. So funny guy, great storyteller, and has incredible experiences to share with all of us. So that's coming out this Thursday. And again, if you're interested in that webinar on the masculine and feminine energies, that's coming out this Wednesday night. It's free and it's open to anyone. And if you do come, you're going to get unlimited access to this webinar once it goes on sale in my academy, in Flexible Me Academy. And you won't have to pay for it. You will have free access to it. So a lot of bonuses if you do show up for the free webinar. All right, everyone, have a great week, and I will be back with you all very soon. Love you. Have a great week.